So, next up, we have Geraldine Rooney here from the Blanchardstown CIL. Geraldine, could you tell me about your project?
I could. Good morning to you. Blanchardstown Centre for Independent Living have launched a matching service for people with disabilities and volunteers in order to reduce isolation and to ensure people with disabilities can take a more active part in mainstream life. We have found that people can be very isolated and lonely. So what we do is we look for our volunteers, get them in, we train them in disability awareness, and they're also Garda vetted. The people with disabilities then are screened to what type of activities they would like to do, what hobbies they have, and what their interests are. Then they can arrange the times that suit them best and how often they meet with their volunteers. We then support both after the introductions have been made. We stay in touch and make sure everything is going right and that they're getting on really well and watch the friendship grow. The volunteers are expected to be available for a couple of hours a week. Again, it's up to the leaders. They can decide when they want to go out and what they want to do. And it's really just based on having some similar interests that they like to do together. So we've advertised through ActiveLink and on your show and also in local papers.
Donegal CIL, but I think Donegal and Leitrim maybe put in a joint application. And I suppose your whole project is around drawing up specifications for a client relationship management system. Sounds quite complicated, Shane.
I will keep it complicated, sure. No, through the funding from the National, the NAG Council, we're looking to explain our database. Our database was very ad hoc. There was a lot of information coming in from leaders and PAs that we had to load up to our system. So we used our funding. We got Fiona Fagan to do our research into that for Leitrim Association for People with Disabilities and Donegal CIL, and just to see what kind of data we need to store and how we can do that in the best kind of efficiency. So coming from that, we would have in Donegal over 120 leaders and then 160 employees or PA.
And Shane, can you just explain the term leaders?
Leaders would be people with disabilities, so they manage their own service, so they're able to employ, dismiss any conflict resolution with their PA, so they're able to manage their own service from setting out rotas or just independent living like everybody else.
And is the whole scheme designed around trying to ensure that you're providing value for money, this VFM, as the HSE keep looking for? So you have a good quality database of all the services you provided, how many people, how often, and all of that?
Yes, that's exactly what it is, because what we were using was just a database, Access database, and Excel spreadsheets for storing our information, and then hard copies. But we found that, say, one person, a leader, would come into the office and they would deal with one of our core staff. They would take all the information, but it wouldn't be stored anywhere. So if that leader came in another day and asked for any updates on that information, there'd be nothing there on file. So we think now with this database in place, it's easy to add notes against the person, so we can just check the leader's name and the notes just straight against it then. So it creates confusion, or it prevents confusion, and it's efficient service then for our leaders.
Okay, and I suppose that's the only grant scheme that went on a dual application, so it's good to see CILs working collaboratively, and I think that's really what the HSE are looking for. Thanks very much, Shane.
Great, and now going from Donegal to Waterford, now is the turn of John MacDonald from Waterford CIL. Welcome, John.
Good afternoon.
Can you tell us a bit? I think you're developing some sort of website, is it?
Yeah, we felt that Waterford CIL covers city and county, and the county is a huge area, and we felt that we're not reaching enough leaders. So we kind of set up a website, and then we kind of further developed the website by getting one of our leaders to run a Facebook page on the website to kind of attract people with disabilities to the organisation, because our two main services is transport and PAs. And as one of the other speakers was talking earlier about, in the rural area, it's very hard to organise transport and get people around. So we want the people to know in Waterford that we have a very good transport system. We have 3 buses up and running, and we just want them to use it. So the website and the Facebook page hopefully will bring us in that.
Okay. And is it a certain model of accessibility, the website?
It's totally accessible for anybody with disability. It's also widely accessible for the public as well, for families. We aimed it at everybody, so not only the person with a disability, we want the family involved We also want carers involved, PAs involved, because a lot of people, and the other point is a lot of people mightn't have access to computers, so we try and encourage them to use their local libraries, go in and access the service through that way as well. We'll cover a wide area of it.
That's great. That sounds like a really necessary part of the service.
It is, and without the support of NAG, we wouldn't be able to put it in place. And I also just to thank Wexford CIL for helping us out in consultation with them, because they've done a similar website. So I just wanted to acknowledge their support in our application as well.
Great. Thank you.
So people keep referring to NAG, which is an unfortunate maybe acronym for the National Advisory Group on Independent Living. The last person we're going to speak to today is Nisha Cunningham, who is with Carmichael House CIL. Can you just give us a brief outline of your project, Nisha?
Sure, thanks, Michael. I'm here this morning with Marion Maloney-Nolan, who's also involved in the Galway Leader Forum. The National Leader Forum was, I suppose, requested by CIL throughout the country over the last year. And it's really a project about bringing leaders together. What a National Leader Forum is really just a group of people with disabilities articulating the needs of leaders around different issues. So I suppose its purpose is around information sharing, offering support. It really goes back, I suppose, to the grassroots of independent living, and it offers a collective voice for leaders. And we decided with this project that instead of taking the top-down approach, that we would work from the bottom up. So we would start at county level, working with groups at county basis, and then try to build relationships between counties at a regional level, and then eventually come to a National Leader Forum. I suppose the rationale behind that was that if we started at county level, then it would be the individual leaders involved in the project that would guide the development of a National Leader Forum.
And can I just ask, this is supposed to ensure that all leaders around the country have a say and feed into maybe submissions that you're going to put through to the HSE or the Department of Social Protection. Is that really to gather all the voices together in some collective way?
Sure, yeah, I suppose in one way it's a collective voice like that, but also it's for leaders to define what are the issues, and rather than a CIL in a region or the CIL Carmichael House as a national voice to decide what are the priority issues to approach the HSE with, but rather that leaders would define those and decide those.
And there is a sense maybe that within the disability community that there isn't as many media savvy spokespeople to come forward as there might be with the senior citizens groups. Is one of the aims of this project to try and come up with spokespersons both for local media maybe and national media, and that people with disabilities don't sit back passively and that get more active in terms of making that voice heard, so that their local representatives know exactly what they're looking for?
Yeah, and I suppose maybe Marion might say something about the importance of building relationships with politicians and that kind of thing. But yeah, absolutely. I think a huge part of this programme is about building capacity and about encouraging people to get involved. Often we come across a bit of burnout, or people are tired of being involved in the movements and fighting a fight. So yeah, this is about getting people involved and supporting them to make that voice heard.
Is that the case, Marion? You're looking for new voices to come from the disability sector?
Yes, Michael, I think it's very important that we hear, particularly young people, and I think women as well, that women are very disadvantaged within the disability sector, and I think they're afraid of making their voices heard as well. So I think it's very important. I think the Leader Forum is an absolutely brilliant idea. I think it's fantastic how it's working from the bottom up, because I think that's the only way to go. And it is about people that have been involved in the disability community for years and years, kind of supporting and helping one another, and each of us learning from our own experiences and the pitfalls that we have fallen into ourselves, which is very important, that we all have that peer support among us all,
That's super, and we're glad to be able to do our bit to give that voice. Back over to you, Nisha.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, well, there we go. We've heard from the 8 recipients of the awards from around the country, and it's great to hear those voices. It's great to see the variety of schemes being supported and benefiting. And to tell us a little bit more about the actual scheme itself, I'm here with Tony Gleeson. And I just want to ask you, Tony, Can you tell us about the progression? This is the third round, and how has it progressed? Are they the same issues, or are they different?
I think that they'll because of the values that independent living holds about choice and rights and solidarity, the issues will always be the same, but maybe will look slightly different because of the changing environment. So they do remain the same. I think I'm happy with the progression, because in the first round of grants we only had 4 applications, and we granted all 4 of them. And last year's Shared Learning Conference suffered from the weather in the first instance and had to be put back to February, but was very successful. So very, very happy about that. This time we've had 9, and 8 were able to progress. And 1 didn't, through no fault of anybody really. It was just misfortune. And this time we're coming around, and we're hoping that even more CILs will get involved. And I have a couple of details about the application and the amounts of money available, because I'm sure people are always interested in that. I'd like to reiterate what Gary said about how much CILs have been able to do with small amounts of money. It is really, really encouraging, and I really wish that people from the HSE would see how hard people work to do this kind of thing. So, details for people who want to know. This is a programme of small grants, and it is finite. It will run out, but we're kind of eking it out as best we can. The amounts available at local level to a single CIL is 4K. Regional, that's where there's a couple of CILs working together or in partnership with other disability organisations or local authorities, would be up to 7K. And a national project where a couple of CILs or more would be involved can get up to €10,000. We'll be putting the application forms on the CIL website later on this week, but email versions will go out to all CILs. So please use plans that you have already, marry them up with the grant amounts, make partners with your friends down the road, whether they be in local government, community, or in other CILs, and get your applications into us. They're processed very quickly, and the project runs until the end of 2012. So that's about it, and I think I need to run now. Yeah, okay, thank you.
And that's it. I think all the details on www.dublincil.org. So that's it. We have to leave it there for today. So congratulations to all the recipients of the awards, and the best of luck to everyone in their projects and schemes.
And coming up on next week's show, our topic will be dyslexia, and also we'll be discussing how the government view disability projects when they're considering overseas aid to developing countries.
So our thanks, of course, as always, to Natasha Lynch for producing today's show and being our very efficient timer as we got through all the people that we had to speak to today. Amy Mannering was our researcher. A great thanks to Dermot and Hamilton down there on our outside broadcast technical team, as this was our show's first time to do an outside broadcast. It went really, really well. So thanks to the guys for putting us and everyone else at ease. And, of course, thanks again to Alan Maxwell back in studio for handling things there for us.
And we'll be back here, well, not back here, back in Blanchardstown next Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Stay tuned to 92.5 Phoenix FM. Up next is Blanche Tracks with Kay Thompson.